I mentioned Portland, generally speaking, where sanity goes to die, except for a few fine folks in the greater Oregon area. Kristen Sokoloff is a conservative commentator who joins us now specifically. Well, first of all, Kristen, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back.
So, Kristen, there is a ballot measure going on in the Portland area that I can't help but think is freaking hilarious because it might tip its cap towards sanity. The Portland area has a ballot measure that would fund additional hundreds of officers in the Portland Police Bureau, but it would do so by pulling money away from the climate justice programs that voters approved in 2018. First of all, your thoughts on this, and then what do you think is actually going to happen here?
It's going to be very interesting. So Portland voters are about to face the choice. Do you want public safety or do you want climate justice? Now, this proposed measure would hire 400 desperately needed officers. And trust me, my husband is a Portland police officer. We need them desperately. It's been a long running thing that, God forbid, one of the officers were killed in the line of duty. They say, tell the wives we all know to sue the city for having a shortage this dire. This money, like you said, would come from the Portland Clean Energy Fund. And that fund was projected to raise 40 to 60 million a year. And instead, it's bringing in a staggering 200 million annually. It's basically turned into a political slush fund. And meanwhile, Portland ranks 48 out of 50 in police staffing, which explains why crime is through the roof and they don't even have enough officers to get to all the 911 calls, let alone there is zero proactive policing happening.
I hate to poke fun at this, but you're absolutely right. This ends up being just a slush fund of, hey, the mayor's niece's cousin's nephew's former college roommate is starting an EV bus company. Let's go ahead and kick $1 million their direction and see what happens. But, okay, the argument that is probably going to be made on the lib side of the aisle is, what good is it if law enforcement can keep me safe if the climate is also going to be the one that eventually terminates my existence because of climate change? What is your response to something like that, which I'm assuming is inevitable?
Absolutely. So they're foreshadowing out towards 2050 when a lot of Portlanders are just trying to get past Thursday, right? So like that's the argument right now, is that it's a dire need today, not 25 years from now. That's always the case. Yeah, the future is going to be disastrous if we don't act now.
So just really quickly, what is your prediction here? Do you think the people of Portland have had enough of the rioting in the streets, or do you think they really, really want to further the ban on plastic straws?
I think we have a really good shot at this. Right now, if you look up who is a proponent for this bill, there are actual Democrats. So that was really refreshing to see. Yeah, so common sense is starting to peek its head. I'm currently working with a group on No Tax Oregon. Our governor, Tina Kotek, someone to call her, Kotex. We call her that because of like tampons and stuff. But I forget what her real last name is actually sometimes. But she just proposed crazy taxes that are going to increase our gas tax alone an additional 50 cents a gallon. And so we're working really hard. And this is a nonpartisan deal that we're working on. We've almost gathered half the signatures that we need to get it on the ballot. So I think common sense may prevail in this.
Wow, that would be, honestly, I'm hoping for that. Like, I am all about redemption in places that seem to have gone off the lefty turnpike. And I would like to see Portland take, because not to say that there are not other things beautiful about Portland. Love the coffee. I can't enough say that I go in, I find a blue hair, work in the barista stand. Like that's probably great coffee.
Exactly.
Speaking of Portland, Kristen, the National Guard, who was sent out to both Chicago and Portland, is going to go back home to their respective states. Now, they didn't actually end up doing much of anything, really. They were just kind of there as a deterrent. One, how much do you think that deterrent actually quelled some sort of street civil unrest on the streets of Portland? And two, do you think them going home is going to, I don't know, promote more protesting on the streets of Portland?
Oh, this is a tough one because so I live in Happy Valley, Oregon, which is just like 10 minutes outside of Portland. And that's where 200 federalized California National Guard troops, 200 Texas, that's where they were sent. So they were just sitting here and they weren't actually able to go and do anything. And I just want to clear the air. A lot of people ask me, is it as bad as Trump said it was? The answer is no. So Trump said the whole city's on fire, yada, yada, right? Maybe in 2020. But if we really, this is where I want to I'm like, hey, sir, give me a call before you say this stuff. But because actually it was really a controlled 2 city blocks in front of the ICE building. So it's not at the level that it was made to be. It doesn't make it right by any means, but that is the truth behind the impact. So no, I don't see anything. Maybe they'll go out there and talk about how they won and they were able to, get these judges to send them home and render them inactive. But I don't really see much of a change.
I'm just curious, and I don't know that you were going to have like a hard set answer on this, but what is the difference between 2020 and now? Because like you said, it thankfully has been kind of cornered to a couple city blocks where all of the chaos is broken loose. That was not the case in 2020 when I think it saw 2 consecutive 100 nights in a row of riots in Portland. What, if you're just speaking anecdotally, do you think is the difference?
I would say that the Portland Police Bureau, they didn't know how to respond to it initially. My husband was one of those. He did 124 consecutive nights in 2020. A lot of the officers have PTSD from that, and it's very real because they were told to stand down. So they were hats and bats with Antifa on the streets because Antifa had been outfitted with professional police gear. And there were bricks everywhere. So it was a much larger response. It wasn't nipped in the bud. The only thing that stopped that 124 consecutive days was the fact that we had fires here. And so the smoke was making it to where you could barely breathe outside. Wow. Otherwise, it would have just kept going because city officials, and just so people know, the Portland police chief answers to the Portland police commissioner is the mayor, which is very rare. Yeah. So anytime the mayor is elected, that is the commissioner, the police commissioner, which is, again, rare. But we have that here in Portland. I would just say what we're seeing today is the energy is not there because the police bureau is more proactive to keep it contained.
I believe it was Mayor Weasel there, or sorry, Wheeler. I get confused with his name. That was probably more likely to let the city burn than hopefully the corrected direction. Again, Portland's not where we probably would want it to be, but it sounds like there's reason to be optimistic. So that's good.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And they turned the left will eat them their own, right? Because they even tried to burn down his, is it a condo or whatever he lived in, apartment complex? They tried to burn it down while he was in it. So, so it's like you can't make him happy, even though he was a Democrat and he was allowing them to just continue on every night. They still weren't happy, right? I don't know what they wanted him to march out there with them. It's wild. But I do think we're headed in the right direction, but just not fast enough.
Hey, well, the right direction is the operative term there, and hopefully the speed will progress as we start to understand that sanity will hopefully win the day. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us. You're becoming our Portland bureau chief over there.
Hey, we're tough. We're tough. Us blue state conservatives have to stick together.
I appreciate you doing so as a blue state conservative myself. Thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.